Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we have with us Tejas Sarda, who has secured All India rank 128 in UPSC CSE 2023. So, hello Tejas.
Hello, sir.
Congratulations once again and for the grand success in this examination. You have secured All India rank 128. How do you feel about this success?
So, first of all, thank you very much. This is still sinking in, and I am trying to enjoy the moment as it lasts.
Yes. So first of all, we would like to know your UPC journey. So could you briefly tell us about how you have, your journey about UPSC preparation, how many attempts you had given and your success till this point?
Yes, sir, it has been a rather long journey. In 2020, I gave my first attempt while I was while I was doing my internship. I cleared pre but could not clear the main examination.
Right.
Same thing happened in my second attempt in 2021. In 2022, I came here in Delhi, joined some coaching classes, and that helped me to crack mains examination for the first time.
Okay.
In that attempt, I secured a place in Indian Railway Management Services.
Okay.
I again gave the attempt to get a better service, and this year, as we know, I have secured 128th rank.
Right.
And let us see what happens with it now, sir.
Okay. Good. Okay. So about UPSC preparation journey, can you tell us about your optional subject? What was your optional subject?
Sir, I took medical science as my optional.
Okay.
Because I am a doctor, MBBS doctor, and I have studied rather well in my college. So I let that hard work and that knowledge go to a waste.
Okay. So did you take any kind of coaching for your optional subject?
Yes, sir. Even though it is not of very elaborate nature like the GS coaching, I did took UPSC Medico as coaching for the classes. They provide notes and test series. I think there are hardly one or two players in this setup. So as aspirants, we take all the help that we can get.
Okay. So can you tell us about the preparation strategy for a mains examination for general studies and essay paper?
Sir, mains examination has always been the Achilles heel, at least for me.
Okay.
I have figured out over time, number one, in my case, writing what is asked rather than writing what I knew was the key challenge.
Right.
Second, there were many gaps in my knowledge because mains examination has a much more wider syllabus than our prelims examination.
Right.
And sometimes I simply did not have the adequate notes for those content. And thirdly, the temperament of sitting there for 3 hours, 2 times a day, and able to express whatever is there in our notes, in our brain, and putting it on the paper. So these were the few things I was missing out. With help from many people, including you, sir, that has been, I think, taken care of. Let us see when the marks come out.
Sure. And I believe that you must have scored very good marks in general studies also. But you mentioned about the notes. So what is the importance of making notes for general studies or mains examination especially? Can you tell us?
Yes, sir. So, one thing is, which I learned from my seniors, making those notes which will be very crisp and micro and come in handy just 1 or 2 days before the examination. In fact, even in between two papers, those a few pages notes are a lifesaver for main examination. Having said so, they cannot be made overnight. There has to be a standard static notes. It can be handwritten. It can be printed, provided by a coaching. Okay. And it can be a mix of both as well.
Right.
But ultimately, you have to internalize that and make them your own in the form of some micro notes.
Right.
So this was the advice which I religiously followed this time. Unfortunately, I could not do it earlier, and I think that has been rewarded to me.
Okay. So yes, talking about the exam, you said that we have to complete the paper and 2 papers in one day. So many times, most of the students face this challenge to complete the paper itself, okay, and leave behind the quality. So we had to ensure the quantity and quality. Many times I tell students. So how did you manage this thing? What was the approach towards answer writing? in mains examination, answer writing practice?
Sir, I was one of those aspirants who really struggled to complete their papers. Like I used to take 3 hours 30 minutes, 3 hours 40 minutes sometimes to complete a full length paper because my writing speed was not very fast. So by trial and error, I ultimately figured out the only way I could do it and still not compromise on quality was taking away times from those questions which I really did not know an answer of. And even a studious, serious aspirant will have at least 2-3 questions in every paper where there is not much that he already knows about it. So I used to steal time from those questions and devote it to those questions where I really have some good content to write upon. And I used to have a clock running at the back of my mind that at the end of 1 hour, these many questions should be completed. And I used to keep a tally that, okay, if I'm going in the right speed, so let us keep up with it. If I'm lagging behind, which was more often than not the case, let us increase our pace. And this particular notion that every white space on the question come answer booklet has to be made either blue or black. Nothing can be left blank. So I basically could not afford that notion, and I used to keep the page blank if I do not know the answer to it, because I used to believe this is not a university examination. You have to write what is asked, and if you do not know, it is better to not write about it rather than beating around the bush. And one more aspect to it, it's a basic physical strength to stay there for 6 hours. So keeping a practice of writing 2 tests a day, at least for the first timers who have not given the main examination for the even one time, is a must, sir, because that is an experience which, if taken for the first time during examination, may result in catastrophe.
Right. A very good point you mentioned, Tejas, that the practice is very important. And how do you find, especially for the first timers, the importance of test series for mains examination?
Sir, I have 2 to 3 points to talk about test series. Number one, which I just mentioned, it keeps you mentally and physically prepared that this is what is required for simply writing the examination, irrespective of its quality. Second, test series from a good institute provides you probable questions, and there is a good strike rate in UPSC as well. That they point out the areas which aspirant should take care of. Even if the question is not repeated verbatim, they point out the direction from which a question can be picked up. And third, it also gives you a sense of confidence that if you are consistently getting good marks in a particular subject, you should rather focus more on that subject where your score is not that good. So it could be a, I think, crude indicator towards your preparation level as well.
Right. So it can act as a benchmark also.
Yes.
It will provide the confidence, like you said, that if I'm going to complete the paper here and with good quality, so I can deliver in the mains examination. So good thing. One more challenge that we find among the student is the how to use the current affairs and integrate with the static part and write good answers in the mains examination. So how did you manage to include that current affairs in the answers?
Sir, it is always a struggle because the current affairs keeps on expanding and the aspirant is left with less and less time as the exam approaches, because there is a revision part and 17 other things to be done. I used to do 2 things which I must confess that I could not do every day. Number one, reading a newspaper, at least the explained section, or there's some section on Hindu as well.
The text and context.
Text and context, yes. So at least reading that much, which gives you a good cost benefit of reading a newspaper. And second, taking off those consolidated magazines which come out just before main examination, and taking those points and incorporating those into my final micro notes as much as possible, because I have realized that just reading it once is simply not enough unless and until it is read at least twice or thrice and it becomes a part of your notes. It will not come on paper on that day. So it is always a process, and I think it is safe to say 15 days to 20 days or even 25 days before the main examination, we can afford to skip the current affairs section. But until that, we have to be on our toes and keep on adding whatever the new stuff is coming in.
Like the point you mentioned, 20-25 days before we can live. Talking about last year paper only, there was a dam failure in Libya, and just 10 days before, I guess 10-15 days, and they asked the dam failure, and they asked particularly mentioned recent two examples. So there was one in Ukraine and one in Libya. So yes, importance of current affairs is surely there in mains examination, and how to include that is also very what you can say challenging. We need to be smart, right? Like you mentioned, we need to include in our micro notes also. So very good point you mentioned that. So talking about the mains examination, we have essay paper, which is very important, one separate 250 marks. And how do you deal with the essay paper?
Sir, I must be candid about this. In this particular examination, I was more focused on the philosophical essays because that has been the trend for last 2 to 3 years. So some of us who have kind of gotten rusty over writing the issue-based essays,
Right, GS based.
GS-based
Right.
essays, faced a little uncomfort with writing those essays. Having said so, I improved my framework of writing an essay that around 2 pages should be the introduction, or 1.5 pages should be the introduction, 1 page of conclusion paragraph, some good suggestions, innovative case studies to be put just before the conclusion, and adding a flow to the language by adding some connecting paras, connecting words, and in general sticking to the demand and giving or trying to explore it from multiple dimensions. I understand it is a cliched word, multi-dimensional, but that is what is actually required, not just uh, approaching the essay in one particular direction and dumping on the examples. So that was the approach in philosophical based essay, and more or less it holds true for even GS based essays as well, sir.
Right, right, right. Did you prepare any short notes for essay
Yes,
also?
I had dedicated notes for that.
Essay also.
Yes, and I used to keep on collecting quotes,
Right.
anecdotes, and some good even Bollywood songs, good movies, which can be directly quoted. They have some message to deliver. Because I do not think this is a hard and fast rule that okay, this is appropriate and this is inappropriate. If it is giving the message powerfully, why not quote even a song or a movie for that matter?
Right, right, right. Fine. So I guess students are getting more and rich information about mains examination. Now prelims is near. Prelims 2024 is on 16th of June. So almost 2 months are remaining. So what message that you can give to students, especially the first timers? They are now more conscious that every time they are making new experiments, and it is becoming more unpredictable. So you have let's say knack of clearing prelims. You are very confident. So what message would you like to give to them?
So number one message would be that it is unpredictable. So having a notion in our mind that this is the pattern that has been set in, so let us build our preparation around it, is going to be dangerous.
Right.
Like this year they came up with only one, only two, only three correct, which kind of bowled out all the aspirants. Perhaps they will next time come up with all the map based questions or multiple choice correct questions.
Right.
So we cannot really rule out anything. Having said so, sir, having a very strong grasp on our basics or a static knowledge of our key subjects like economics, polity, environment, science and tech, etc. So these key subjects account for more than 70% of the questions.
Right.
And if we are able to get a very good strike rate on these, more or less we will sail through. So usually the problem is that there is a knowledge gap in the aspirants.
Right.
Having got a good grasp on our knowledge, second thing is getting that acumen or that judgment of which question should be left,
Right.
which question should be attempted,
Sure.
and which question should be taken logical guess upon.
Right. Right.
That judgment has to be developed like attempting more and more test series,
Right.
and not just writing the test series, but keeping an individual analysis
Right.
of particular question, like why did I do this question wrong?
Yes.
Was it my lack of concentration while reading the question?
Yes.
Was it I was unable to recall this particular information from my notes?
Right.
Or was it simply there was no need to attempt this question, but I took it upon my ego, and how can I not solve this question? I have read it.
Right. Right.
So there are individual problems. We have to figure out these problems.
Right.
If we have some mentor like you or some senior, the process will become easier of diagnosing, so to say in medical language, the problem and treating the problem and getting the patient healthy. But these individual things of judgment is as important in prelims examination as having that knowledge, because there are many people who have the very good knowledge, but yet on that D day they are not able to deliver, and the same question will be done correctly by them after they come out of exam hall.
Right.
So the judgment and the pain or the pressure handling ability, these all will come into picture, and writing at least I'll say 10 to 15 exams, full length tests of prelims will come in handy. So
Right. So can we say in a sense that prelims examination is more about like temperament, maintaining the temperament in those 2 hours, and especially the way they are framing the questions in CSAT, right? It has become a terror
yes,
among the students. So yes, of course, it is aptitude test. We have to cross a particular line, and that's why we need to have certain strategy. We have to identify our weaknesses and work upon them, like you said. So after talking about prelims, the last stage is your interview program, right? Interview step. So how did you prepare for your personality test? Already you had given interview last year. Yes. You had been selected also.
yes, sir.
So how did you prepare for your personality test?
Sir, I must first mention that I was a part of interview guidance program at Lukmaan as well, and this time I gave a mock interview here as well, and the feedback I incorporated it and worked upon it. Going beyond that, especially for the first timers, the DAF based questions which are your bread and butter for the interview should be mastered upon, because this is a territory from which questions are going to be asked and you have a prior knowledge about it. So you should leave basically no stone unturned to cover every possible dimension of whatever those entries are there on your DAF 2, your hobbies, academic achievements, any distinction in anything which has been achieved. And coaching classes do provide a good detailed questionnaire about it.
Right.
That will be the first thing. Second thing is the speaking ability. It comes naturally to few people, and some have to develop it, like myself.
Okay.
So many people have again different issues. Some have language barrier, some have that performance anxiety of how will I able to speak with such distinguished people. Some have the ability to give a very blunt opinion in instead of masking it in more diplomatic language.
Right.
So giving a radical opinion is not expected of a civil servant.
Of course, yes.
So these 2-3 issues are there. Some have problematic body language.
Right.
So these issues have to be first identified by giving mock interviews in the presence of experienced personnel, retired bureaucrats or teachers, and they have to be worked upon. And this process takes time. You cannot improve these things in 15 days or even 1 month. So it is always safe that having given a good mains, you start preparing for interview, assuming that you are getting an interview call. And even if unfortunately you do not get that call, your preparation will not go waste. Ultimately, to get a rank, the hurdle of interview has to be overcome. And this process, fortunately, I was lucky in my first attempt that my interview call came at a little later stage. So I got adequate time to prepare my DAF, my home state, the place where I came from, my hobbies, etc. And I sailed through, sir.
You mentioned just now about hobbies. What were your hobbies?
Sir, I dance. I dance in multiple styles.
Okay, being a doctor and
yes, sir.
Okay, so interesting.
I also play lawn tennis.
Okay.
Then I also have a hobby of reading books and watching movies, especially of fiction genre, science fiction, mythology, etc. These fascinate me. So I had prepared around these things. Come what may question, I will be able to tackle it.
Did they ask anything about dance?
Yes, they did ask, especially last time. This time they just took a look at it, but they asked more about my hobbies of reading and watching movies. But last time they did ask about dancing.
Okay.
It usually surprises them that a doctor is who are supposed to be studious and serious and busy, are getting time to
Yeah,
pursue.
that's why that's interesting hobby.
Yes, sir.
Good thing, good thing. Okay, so this was about your preparation for prelims, mains, and exam interview program. But as you said that you had given 4 attempts, and many students, they are preparing for these examinations for so many years. They face failure in prelims, mains examination, many times in interview also. How did you have, let's say, manage to be remain motivated for all those years of preparation? Because many times students come to us and they say that I'm not getting sir motivation and I'm not getting that force. तो आपका ये क्या मतलब but what was it, internal force, was it external, let's say, stimuli for motivation, what was it?
Sir, I think I used to go back to the time when I decided that I wanted, why do I want to become a civil servant?
Right.
And if that cause is powerful enough, it will motivate you internally, irrespective of whatever is happening with you.
Right.
With this preparation, this long preparation, ups and downs will come, but those downs you will be able to sail through if you have very strong motivation, plus if you have a good support system. Like in my case, my why was I could see the problems in and around while working in the public hospitals and as a vigilant citizen of our society, but there was not much I could do about it. So I wanted to do something and make change in those young days, so to say. And in that zeal, I decided that I want to become a civil servant. This is one profession which can allow me actually to do the constructive changes which I want to make. That was the beginning, and that is still there. So that is taken care of. And second, whenever those lows came, I had a very good support system of my family.
Right.
My parents never questioned me that being a doctor, why do you want to change this profession? This is such a prestigious and even economically sound job you're getting.
Right.
My brother, he also used to help me in my adverse periods, and those of my mentors, including my teachers, they used to consult, they used to comfort me that okay, your efforts are in the right direction, apna time aayega.
Right. Right.
So that is how I sail through. And I think these are the two things: a powerful motivation which has to come from within.
Yes.
It is not the job of a faculty or a teacher to help find out that why. Teacher can only do so much. It is the job of the aspirant ultimately.
Right.
And second is the support system that can come from friends, family, art mentors, any place.
Right.
So that.
Fine. One last question is in this preparation journey, how did you find the contribution of Lukmaan IAS, especially interview guidance also for mains examination also? So was it helpful for you? In what way it was helpful? Can you tell us?
Yes, sir. First of all, I have to mention that I had a problem with geography in GS1, and when I was searching through YouTube, I came across you, and you were so to say generous with your time with me. You gave me more than one sitting and pointed out, okay, these are the possible. I showed you my answers. These are my answers, and you pointed out these are possible problems, and you could work upon these. And you even referred to some books that I could read upon. And at that time, before getting selected, that is a huge help that an aspirant can get. Secondly, I was also part of interview guidance program, and I gave my first mock here itself. And the suggestion I have always incorporated into my preparation going ahead to get into that zone of interview. And so third, I was also part of the distance learning program of GS for Ethics. Even though I must confess I did not fully utilize it, but it was a good resource, that much I could get. So if perhaps I had utilized it even in a more rigorous manner, I would have scored even better. So these are the things that Lukmaan has helped me with, sir.
Sure. So once again, congratulations, Tejas.
Thank you so
and
much, sir.
thank you for enlightening us with the insights that, because see, successful student provides the strategy for the millions of aspirants for this examination. And many students, they talk about their success strategy, but you had also mentioned about what mistakes you had made and how you improved. So that is going to help a lot to all the aspirants. So thank you so much once again.
My pleasure, sir.
Okay. Okay.